A concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury, or TBI, caused by a bump, blow, or jolt to the head, or by a hit to the body that causes the head and brain to move rapidly back and forth. This sudden movement can cause the brain to bounce around or twist in the skull, creating chemical changes in the brain and sometimes stretching and damaging brain cells. Medical providers may describe a concussion as a mild brain injury because concussions are usually not life-threatening. Even so, the effects of a concussion can be serious. Children and teens who show or report one or more of the signs and symptoms listed below, or simply say they just don't feel right after a bump, blow, or jolt to the head or body, may have a concussion or more serious brain injury. Concussion signs observed. Can't recall events prior to or after a hit or fall. Appears dazed or stunned. Forgets an instruction. Is confused about an assignment or position. Or is unsure of the game, score, or opponent. Moves clumsily. Answers questions slowly. Loses consciousness, even briefly. Shows mood, behavior, or personality changes. Concussion symptoms reported. Headache or pressure in the head. Nausea or vomiting. Balance problems or dizziness or double or blurry vision. Bothered by light or noise. Feeling sluggish, hazy, foggy, or groggy. Confusion or concentration or memory problems. Just not feeling right or feeling down. Signs and symptoms generally show up soon after the injury. However, you may not know how serious the injury is at first, and some symptoms may not show up for hours or days. For example, in the first few minutes, a child or teen might be a little confused or a bit dazed, but an hour later, the child might not be able to remember how he or she even got hurt. You should continue to check for signs of concussion right after the injury and a few days after the injury. If your child or teen's concussion signs or symptoms get worse, you should take him or her to the emergency department right away. A concussion occurs every 20 seconds in the United States. Adolescents are particularly vulnerable to concussion because they frequently participate in sporting and recreational activities and have slower recovery periods than do adults. Additionally, there is growing concern for the neurologic effects of repetitive head impacts in sports, even without a diagnosed injury. Repeated head impacts have been linked with several short-term neurophysiological deficits in neurocognitive performance, postural control, and ocular reflexes. Concussion and head impact exposure research in sports has primarily been focused on male American football players. Efforts to understand the frequency of head impacts to reduce exposure have rarely included female athletes. This video will summarize the findings from a study that examines sport and gender-based differences in head impact rate for adolescents. 124 adolescent athletes, 56 girls and 68 boys, participated in this study. The study quantified the head impact exposure using head impact sensors worn by teenage athletes and rigorous video confirmation methods. Overall, male athletes had higher head impact rates compared to female athletes for each of the sports studied. Boys had a significantly higher impact rate than did girls in soccer, non-headers in soccer, basketball, and lacrosse. A gender-based comparison for field hockey was not possible as it was only played by female athletes in the study. Nevertheless, the head impact rate was very low, with one confirmed head impact event for the entire season. Within each gender, there were differences in head impact rate across sports. For boys, the impact rate was highest in soccer, which was more than 3 times higher than that in basketball and lacrosse. However, when intentional headers exclusive to soccer were removed, the impact rate was slightly lower than that in basketball and lacrosse. Male basketball and lacrosse did not differ in impact rate. For female sports, soccer had a substantially higher head impact rate than did basketball, lacrosse, and field hockey. All rates were significantly different. After soccer, female basketball had the next highest head impact rate, followed by lacrosse and field hockey. After intentional headers exclusive to soccer were removed, the impact rate in female soccer was similar to that in basketball, but remained higher than that in lacrosse and field hockey. This study demonstrates that head impact and concussion concerns should be considered for other sports, not just focused on the risks of football. Specifically, soccer is a sport with very high head impact, especially when players intentionally use their heads against the ball. Additionally, while concussions have primarily focused on males, this study demonstrates that female athletes are also a concern for head impact rates. Although female athletes had a lower head impact rate across all the sports included in the study when compared to male athletes, their rates are still significantly high and should garner concern, especially for female soccer players.